The panel has assembled, so I would like to restart the meeting in 1 minute, please. May I invite you all to take a seat? The panel is about, the session is about to resume in maybe a few more seconds, so may I please invite you all to take a seat. How are you? I think we are quorate, although not everybody has resumed a place in the room, but I see people streaming in, and I think we'll take the opportunity to open the next panel. It's on the state of world trade, the opening panel and opening discussion, and it's my pleasure to introduce the panel to you. On your left, Dr. Mari Elka Pengestu, who is the Minister of Trade of Indonesia since 2004. And I'd like to start to wish you and the people of Indonesia a very joyous Eid ul-Fitr. Today the day is Eid, so Eid Mubarak. And on behalf of the ITC, as well as the WEDF participants, Dr. Pengestu is the first female Chinese Indonesian to hold a cabinet position in Indonesia. She holds a doctorate in economics from the University of California, Davis, and has also held the position of the executive director of the CSIS, the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Indonesia, Jakarta, the leading think tank of the country. So it was no very natural, I think, for the President's SBY, Susile Bambang Jona, to take her into the cabinet. And Ms. Pangestu, thank you very much for joining us at the WEDEF. Next to her, Dr. Rob Davies, who was the Minister for Trade and Industries of South Africa since 2009, but he previously held the post of Deputy Minister for another 4 years prior to that. He too has a background in economic research, including on issues of the South African economy and the SADC, and worked also at the University of Western Cape until his election as a Member of Parliament in 1994. So again, on behalf of the ITC, I would like to thank you very much for joining us at the 11th WEDEF here in Chongqing, China. Next to him, Dr. Harry Broadman, this is the Senior Vice President of Albright Stonebridge Group, as well as the Chief Economist of the Albright Capital Management of the USA. And for those of you who think, where did I hear that name before? Yes, you're right. This group, he's a principal alongside Madeleine Albright, the former Secretary of State of the US in the previous administration, and the limited liability company advises on investments in emerging economies. Dr. Broadman worked for the World Bank on East Asia and also as an assistant US TR, focusing in particular on issues of foreign investment into the US economy. He was also the senior economist and chef de cabinet, or chief of staff, as it's called in the US, of the Council of Economic Advisors to the President. He holds a PhD, another PhD in economics from the University of Michigan, and he is a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. Again, thank you very much for joining us here today. Next to him, Wei Jianguo, who is the Secretary General of the CCIEE, the China Center for International Economic Exchanges, a recently formed think tank. Last year, it operates under the guidance of the NDRC, the National Development and Research Commission, a very powerful body in the Chinese system, and it studies economic issues as well as promoting economic cooperation both within the country as well as internationally. It's a think tank which has members that are interested in the issues and government support. Wei Jianguo was a former minister, vice minister of the MOFCOM, the Ministry of Commerce in China. Next to him, a person known to many of us in Geneva, His Excellency Ujjal Singh Bhatia, who until the end of last month was the ambassador of India to the WTO. And I recall at the General Council of the WTO on the 28th of July, there was a universal acclaim for his contribution to the work of the WTO and his commitment to improve fairness and transparency in global trade through a rule-based international trading system. He holds a master's in economics from the University of Delhi, and he joined the Indian Administrative Service back in 1974 to subsequently rise to the rank of Secretary of Commerce prior to his appointment to the WTO. Phil Smith, next to him, from Reuters, Thomson Reuters. He's the bureau chief here in Beijing. He has very extensively worked in the region, including in Japan and Delhi. And he will be the moderator of this session. I will just hand over to him now. Phil, over to you.
Thanks, Wilhelm. I was actually quite pleased to be asked to do this because ever since I've been in China, which has only been about 18 months, my bureau here has been completely obsessed with the RMB. And my poor guys are on 24/7 watch, waiting for the thing to be depegged. And all our customers globally, that was the big story they wanted to know. And we actually did okay, we got the story and everything was fine. Now my colleagues in Japan are obsessed with dollar yen. And it reminds me of the days when I was writing about dollar yen in 1995, when America and Japan were at loggerheads over trade and the dollar yen was collapsing. There was massive central bank intervention to turn it around. So all these very big issues are still with us. A lot of it's cyclical, I know. And I don't know if any of you have seen the US trade numbers overnight. The July trade surplus, the July trade gap actually narrowed a bit in the US overnight. Interesting that the deficit with China fell 1%. This is just 1 month's numbers. But the overall deficit for the Jan-July period